Oh, it is 12:01 already. Okay. Did everybody see my note about getting like a chair or being near a couch or something? So like the idea is that you'll put your, just imagine that I've got a chair here, that you'll put your legs either on the chair or up the wall. So if it's not required. If you don't have anything, and Kelsey, looks like you have a wall, so you'll be okay. All right. Great. Well, go ahead and mute yourselves. It's really good to be back. I missed you all last weekend, but I was glad that I was still able to practice with you in some capacity. And last week we were working on our so as, which actually starts with a P, P-S-O-A-Z. Wait, I think, no, it ends with an S, P-S-O-A-S, so as. And they are your hip flexors. They actually connect all the way up to your diaphragm. And as we've been talking, they tend to be really tense when life tends to be really tense. So if you feel like they're a little bit tight right now, there's probably really good reason for that beyond just physical exercise that you've been doing. It also is somewhat tied to our life. Let me just navigate this tiny furry animal here who's plopped himself down. Let's actually start sitting on our heels, and then you're going to come off to the side a little bit. So you can go off to the left side of your heels and your feet will be slightly to your right. And then take your right hand out to the side onto your fingertips, and your left arm reaches up and over. Big side bend. So we're getting into that part of our hips that's like right down here. It gets really tight. And then you'll notice you may be tilted towards the earth. So I'd like you to rotate your left shoulder back, and then you can experiment with your neck. See how it feels to look up towards your hand. I kind of like to look down towards my right hand, and then use my right hand to press down and help me roll my left shoulder back. Okay, now we'll bring our left hand back down. Switch over to the other side. So move your hips to the right side of your feet. Left hand, got a weird foot cramp. Left hand presses down, fingertips, and reach your right arm up and over. Oh my gosh. Notice if one side feels different. Forgot to say this on the other side, but rotate your pinky down towards the ground and go through that same motion of rolling your right shoulder back. Breathe into your right side. All right, right hand can come back down to the earth. And let's meet in hands and knees. Start with your hands underneath your shoulders, hips over your knees. Press down into the earth, chin to chest, navel to spine. Inhale, rib cage lowers, heart reaches forward for cow pose. Exhale, pull your heart up between your shoulders, hips tuck under, press your hands down and away. Inhale, pull your palms towards your knees, hips reach back. Let's do that a couple more times. Just getting acquainted with our spine, starting to wake it up. And then if you want to add some more rhythmic movement, find some circles, experiment with different patterns and rhythms, articulations of your spine. And we'll eventually come to some stillness. I like to slow down with a little bit of a tail wag here. And make sure that your hands, so let's actually come back to hands right underneath shoulders. And then take your hands, one whole hand print in front of where they were, slightly externally rotated, first finger in line with the outside edges of your mat. Tuck your toes. Lift your knees just 2 inches. Send your hips back. Ears about in line with your biceps. Now, keep your ears and head where they are. Straighten your legs until they can't go anymore. So it's more important for us to keep our spine straight than it is our legs. So if you need to keep a little bit of a bend in your knees, I highly recommend it. Then you can bend one knee at a time, knowing that you'll come back to your bent knees every time you come into downward dog. Stretch through the backs of your legs and your calves. Check in with your hips. Sometimes it feels good to take your heels from side to side. Open up through your side body, which we did a lot of already. And once you feel like you're ready to go, come back to downward dog. Find your bent knee if necessary, bent knees, unless you only have one leg. Bring your big toes together. Oh, actually, we'll keep your feet hip width distance apart. Getting ahead of myself. Now inhale your heels over your toes, chin to chest. Lift the space behind your heart as you roll forward into plank. Reach from the crown of your head through your heels in plank, and then draw up from your strong center and back to downward dog. Let's do that again. Follow your breath, the entirety of your inhale. And then it ends right as you arrive into plank. Draw up and back into downward dog. We'll come forward one more time, chin to chest. Roll forward into plank. And now elbows point back. Brush your rib cage as you lower down all the way to the mat. Tops of feet press down so your knees lift just slightly. Tops of fingers anchored into the earth. We'll take 3 rounds of cobra. Shoulders loop, heart reaches forward. Use your strong back, especially on the first 2. And then soften. Shoulders loop forward, up the back. Keep the back of your neck long. Reach your heart forward and then release. Come up a little bit higher this time. Shoulders loop. Use your back, and then your hands. Press up. Lengthen the front of your body. Press your feet down and back. And then soften towards your mat. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Knees lift off the earth. Navel draws to spine. Strengthen from center. And then press up through plank to downward dog. Let's take a cleansing breath. Deep inhale. Exhale out your mouth. Couple more times. Last one. Fully inhale. And fully exhale. Now bring your big toes together. Inhale your right leg straight back and up. Reach out through your right heel. Exhale, draw your knee into your chest. Lift from center. Shift forward. Place your right foot next to your right thumb. Ground your back heel so your heel to arch or heel to heel alignment. Thumbs lead the way up into warrior 1. Reach your heart up, hands over your head. Exhale, take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. Reach your hands back, reach your heart up, inhale. And then on your exhale, strong through your back leg, dive forward on the inside of your right knee. Arms come up and over. This can also be done with a strap. Inhale, reach back up. Unfurl your hands. Reach your hands up towards the sky. Palms together, hands through midline, and back to the earth. Square your hips. Step into plank. and slowly lower all the way to the mat. Tops of feet press down and back, heart reaches in opposite direction as you peel up and then melt down. Hands under your shoulders, press back up with patience and strength into downward dog. Toes together, left leg, inhale, reach all the way back. Exhale, draw your knee into your chest, shift forward, place left foot next to left thumb. Right heel lowers down, heel to heel or slightly wider. It's on my mat. Press down into your feet, keep your left knee bent as you rise up, press into the outside edge of your right foot. Send your hands back, pinkies lead. Interlace your fingers as you inhale, heart reaches up, hands reach back, open up across your collarbones. Exhale, dive forward, left shoulder on the inside of left knee. Use your strong core to bring you back up. Hands reach back up towards the ceiling. Palms together, hinge at your hips. Step back with control into plank. Keep drawing navel to spine as you lower down. Press your fingertips down. Roll up with liberation quality and then release. Balance the freedom with just a little structure of plank and back to downward dog. Toes together, inhale, then move, right leg. Exhale, knee draws up towards your chest, shift forward, right foot to thumb. Ground your left heel. Press feet down and apart. Keep your front knee bent or tracking over your front foot. Exhale, hands behind you. Interlace your fingers. Shoulder blades draw together. And then exhale, dive forward. Inhale strong as you rise. Release your hands. Breathe above your head. Palm there and hinge from your hips. Step control the plank. Draw knees towards hips so you lower down with control. Use your legs as brakes. And then peel up like Mercury, moving smoothly. Hands under your shoulders with strength back through plank to downward dog. Left side. Inhale, left foot reaches back. Exhale, knee to chest, foot to thumb. Ground your back heel. Inhale, follow your hands up towards the sky. Exhale, bring your hands behind you. Can't remember if we already did this leg or not. We'll just keep going. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips, hands up and over. Inhale, come all the way back up. And exhale forward. Step into plank. Way down. Tops of fingers press down. Peel away from the earth. Lengthen the front of your body and release. Toes tuck. Strong through plank. Back dog. One more time on each foot. Right leg leads. Exhale, navel to spine. Knee to chest, foot to thumb. Ground your left heel. Inhale, thumbs lead, come all the way up. Exhale, sweep back. Interlace your fingers, heart reaches up, hands toward your left foot, and then dive forward. Chin tucked as you rise, then unfurl. Reach your hands towards the sky. Exhale, return hands to mat. Step back into plank. Elbows brush your rib cage as you lower. Shoulders loop. Reach your heart forward, feet back, and soften. Come back up through plank to downward dog. Last time, left side. Inhale, then move. Exhale, knee to chest, foot to thumb. Right heel down. Rise up. Exhale, hands sweep back. Heart lifts, collarbones broaden. Keep the strong structure of your legs. Remain fluid and dynamic through your upper body. Exhale, the hands back down to the mat. Step into plank. And with control, return to the mat. With liberation, freedom, ease, come through cobra. And then back down to the mat. Let's meet in child's pose. Rather than downward dog, just take a moment, hips to heels. See if you can ground your forehead on the mat or possibly on the backs of your hands. Just take a moment to check in with the conditions of your mind today. Knowing that nothing is permanent and all of our feelings inevitably change. And from child's pose, we'll come through hands and knees and find our good friend. Well, I feel like, let me just take a quick moment to say that we're going to do some core work, and it's going to be plank-based, and it will be challenging, and that is okay. And then the rest of the class is going to be more of a free flow. So I'm just going to be like, hey, you guys do what you want to do, but we'll be a little bit more expansive in nature and some back bends. So if that's a motivation for you to be like, yes, I'm going to stick it out through this plank because I know the rest of the class will be more luxurious, then do it. All right? All right. So let's find ourselves in plank. You're going to take your shoulders over your wrist and your feet back, hips and not up here, but down in line with your shoulders. Now draw your lower belt, your navel to spine. Press your hands down, lift the space behind your heart. So there's a little bit of a round in my upper back right now. So I'm going to keep this integration and reach my heels back and my sternum forward. That's a good plank. Now, widen your feet just a little bit and take your right hand, the back of your right hand to your sacrum. Now see if you can do what you can to keep your hips square so you're not opening up and doing sidearm balance, but your shoulders are facing both towards the earth. I know this is tough. One more breath. Okay, now place your right hand on the mat. Stay in plank. Take the back of your left hand to the mat or to your sacrum. Keep your hips square towards the earth. Your right shoulder over your right wrist. If you're shaking, that's good. Means you're doing it right. Hips might open up a little bit, but do what you can to keep them square. Okay, now both hands on the mat. Stay with me. Lift just your right foot. Same height as your hip. Keep your right foot really flexed. Keep drawing navel to spine. Keep shoulders over your wrists. Drop your right foot down, left foot. Notice if you press back a little bit. We want this work to be coming from our strong center. So keep your shoulders over your wrists. If you're having a hard time breathing, try doing it in talking. Keep reaching out through your left heel. Now ground your foot, knees, and hands behind you. Ooh, good job. Nice work. Ooh, yeah, really feel your heart pumping, your sense of aliveness and vitality that you're awakening. All right. What do you say we do one more round? I can't see you, so I'm pretty sure you all just said, yes, definitely want to do one more round. Now that I've got the hang of it, totally want to do one more round. Great, let's do it. So come back into plank. Shoulders over wrists, strong center. So you're drawing up through navel and then reaching forward your sternum. And we're going to start again. You might want to broaden your feet a little bit, spread your toes, and take the back of your right hand to your sacrum. We'll take 4 breaths. Keep focused. Keep your hips and shoulders square. Now ground your right hand. Take the back of your left hand to your sacrum. If you're not doing it for you today, be strong for somebody else who needs it. Keep your right shoulder over your right wrist. Ground your left hand. You might have to come in a little bit. Stretch your right leg back. Really flex your foot. Draw in through navel. Press your hands down. Stay stable through your shoulders. Now right foot down. Left foot up. Flex your left foot a lot. Reach out through your heel. Make sure you're not lifting through your hips. One more breath in. Left foot down. Knees down. Ooh, and let's have a seat on our heels. Take your fingertips to your shoulders. We'll just do some simple turning here through our spine. And then come back to center. Take your elbows in and out. Stretch your shoulders out. And then your wrists. Nice and loose. Ooh, okay. Now, as I promised, the rest of the class will be more about back bending than it is fire inducing. So let's come back to our friend, downward dog. Walk your feet up to the front of the mat. Inhale your hands up halfway, press your palms into your shins, lengthen out, and exhale. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your hands down to the mat. Inhale, hands up towards your knees, press palms to shins, weight towards the front of your foot, and fold back forward. One more time, loop your shoulders as your strong back lifts you halfway. Weight towards your toes. Fold forward. Bend your knees a considerable amount. Take your thumbs into the hooks of the crease of your waist and press back with your thumbs. Reach in the opposite direction with your heart. So as you rise, you come up with nice straight back, using your legs to help you come up. From here, we'll do a little bit of stretch, and we're going to do this in 2 ways. Left hip and draw your right foot towards your glute. So you've got your hands on the outside edge of your right foot right now. You want to pull your right foot towards your glute and then think about doing a cat-like movement with your hip. So when we do cat, your hips tuck under a little bit rather than the butt going back. So as you do this, you want to try to lengthen your psoas by pulling your, or by doing that slight cat-like movement with your hips. And then you want to notice if your right knee has gone out, so you want to keep your right knee in towards your left leg, shoulders square, heart high, good. And then go ahead, Ooh, actually, let's keep our right foot in our right knee or right hand. And now I just want you to experience something different by taking your right foot into your left hand. And you get just a little bit of a different sensation here. You might feel it more on the outside of your right leg. So those aren't necessarily wrong or different, or I'm sorry, they aren't necessarily wrong, they're just different. You might feel it in slightly different places. And go ahead and replace your right foot on the earth. And we'll do the other side. Right hand on right hip. Pull left foot up towards glute. Grab around the outside edge of your left foot. Now, if you're just standing here, you may not really feel it that much. So press your left knee back and find that slight tuck motion with your hips like you would do in cat pose. And then you'll be able to lengthen your psoas just a little bit more. I like to keep my foot flexed as I do that too, so I feel like I can get more tension, the good kind of tension. Then let's switch. Take your left foot into your right hand. So it's crossing behind you a bit. And maybe now I unflex my foot and I'm going to feel it just in a couple different spots. You can see how that feels for you today. And then we'll go ahead and replace the left foot back on the mat. Press down to your feet. Inhale your arms out and up over your head. Bring your palms together. Maybe bend here. Exhale, slowly dive. Take your full breath. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your hands down to the earth. And then step into downward dog. Inhale your right leg straight, back and up. Reach out through your heel and then open up through your hips. Reach your foot as high as it'll go. Bend your right knee. Find the full liberation here in this pose. We're doing a lot of neutral hip work today, so it feels good to do a little bit of hip openers. And then slowly draw your right knee through center in towards your chest. Lift from center and place your right foot next to your right thumb. Let's see. All right. Keep your left heel over your left toes. Press down into the earth. Lead, reach your arms up over your head. As your hands come up above you, turn your palms out. Bend at your elbows, broaden across your collarbones, and let your shoulder blades just melt down your back. Inhale, breathe your arms up. Exhale, turn palms out and melt. 2 more. Nice and easy and no rush. Inhale, lift your arms over your head. Exhale, soften, round the ears. Pull your arms up over your head one more time. Bring your palm together. And exhale, reach out through your left heel, forward through your heart. Bring your hands down to the mat and ground your back knee. Grab a hold of blocks if you have them. If you don't, no big deal. And we're going to move back and forth just a couple of times between half splits here, reaching your heart forward, hips back, and then into low lunge where hips move down and forward. So I offer you today, actually, I'm going to have us all stop in low lunge. If you want to come back one more time, I think it's important that for where we're headed, we open up our psoas as much as we can. So you want to pause somewhere that feels transformative to you. And it's probably not here with your left hip over your knee. So move forward as much as you can, even if it's just a couple of inches. You don't have to come all the way down and forward if it's just not happening for you today. But you want to feel the stretch across the front of your left hip. So you're going to feel that more if you're lifting up through your heart rather than facing down. So that's where blocks can come in really handy here. Or just anything that you want to put underneath your hands. You could also do this with your hands on your hips if you didn't have blocks. We'll be here for just a couple more moments. Notice where your thoughts go. See if you can stay in the present moment with the present sensation. One more breath in. Exhale, move any props aside. Place your hands on the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift left knee. With keeping your shoulders over your wrists, step your right foot back into plank. Patience, strong legs, lowers you down slowly to the mat. And then ease pulls you away from the earth gracefully. And then melt back down. Hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes, knees lift. And then press straight up through plank to downward dog. Left leg, inhale, reach out through your heel. Exhale, draw your knee into your chest, lift from center, foot to thumb. Keep your heel above your right toes. Press down into the earth, rise up into Anjaneyasana crescent. I like a little bend in my back knee here so I can keep my lower ribs pulled in. That will actually help increase the stretch of your right psoas here too. Turn your palms out, bend slightly through your elbows, and smoothly lower your arms down. Inhale, pull up through the air. Exhale, soften. Think about how a nice creek moves slowly with ease, taking out all the edges of the rocks below it. Inhale, arms come over your head. Last time, bend at your elbows, broaden across your collarbones. Inhale, arms come up towards the clouds, palms together, heart lifts. Exhale, right back, heart reaches forward, hands through midline to the mat. Lower your back knee. Blocks if you have them, and we'll shift back and forth a couple of times to check different sensations in our body today. Of course, checking them out without judgment. Come forward into low lunge. One more time back through half splits, lengthen through your spine. And then we'll move our hips back or forward as much as we can to feel the stretch across the front of our right hip. Blocks being helpful here, but not necessary. Keep your heart high. I like to press down and back with my right foot as well. You can kind of notice where you might be still holding on or holding back a little bit and see what happens if you let go and allow yourself to be fully present in the moment. Notice where your mind goes. Use your breath as an anchor to pull you back into this moment. One more big breath in. And exhale. Blocks can be placed aside, palms to the mat. Tuck your back toes with strength from center, step back into plank. And then again, more strength from center, lower all the way to the mat. Tops of fingers press down, shoulders loop with ease. And then release. Now from here, instead of coming into downward dog, we'll have you come into a kneeling position. So our peak today, well, we're actually not quite to the peak today. Our peak today is Ardha Bhek, which is a half frog pose. So to warm up for that, we're going to do both involve stretching across psoas. One's just a step forward. Okay, so now I think we can all do this together rather than me taking time to demo. So come to your stomach and take your left hand across the front of your body. So your left shoulder is above your left elbow. Now draw your right knee in towards your glute and grab a hold of the inside of your right foot, thumb points up. Square your shoulders off to the front of the mat and press your right foot back into your right foot so that it's holding you up a little bit. So where you could maybe lift your left elbow. So if this is a lot for you, stay here. If you want to add on, you'll reach your left hand forward and then lift your left foot up too. And then the final touch is slightly lifting your right knee. So you've got these, the main point of contact is your pelvis. So you want to press down into your pelvis, lift up through your heart. Keep pressing your right foot into your right hand. One more breath, and then release. We'll go straight into the other side. So right forearm is down on the mat, right shoulder above right elbow. Maybe you need to re-square your hips, make sure everything is in place. And then reach back for your left foot, thumb points up, grab a hold of the inside. Press into your right forearm to square your shoulders. Press left foot into left hand so you can feel the tension there. And then reach your right hand forward, thumb up. Press hand into foot and lift right leg. Ardha Dhanurasana, half bow pose. Press hips down, heart up. Keep breathing. And then soften. Take your hands underneath your forehead and take your heels from side to side. Hands underneath your shoulders. Press up through plank to downward dog. Last wave. Inhale your right leg back. Reach straight out through your heel. Exhale, draw knee into your chest. Shift forward, place foot to thumb. Ground your back knee. And then we'll have some options here. So option number one is to take, well, we'll all start here with your right hand on your knee and your left hand on top of that. And we'll all start with a couple of pulses here, to where you draw your chin to your chest, round your upper back, and then loop your shoulders like in cobra as you lower your hips and lift your heart. So inhale. And exhale, hips move down and forward. As you inhale, you're pulling your front foot towards your knee and then releasing. Let's do one more like that. Inhale, press your hands forward on your leg and then come back into a low lunge. So option one for the next movement here is to either stay in low lunge like this with both hands on your knee or possibly on blocks if that was more comfortable, or two, grab a hold of your left foot with your left hand. And then you could move on from here, grab a hold of your foot with both of your hands. But what I want you all to try to do is to find the motion with your hips that you take in cat pose, like we were doing when we were standing. So you're not over exaggerating the back bend here, but really trying to stretch the front of your quad instead. So as you pull your foot closer in towards your glute, you're going to feel a lot of sensation across the front of your leg, your quad, your hips, and it will increase more so not by moving your hips forward, although that will change it, but by taking that slight action with your hips. It's a posterior tilt of your pelvis. And then gently release your left foot. Bring both hands down to the mat. Bring your right knee back to meet your left. We'll just take a breath. One, exhale into downward dog. And then inhale up into, exhale into child's pose. And then inhale up to downward dog. All right, inhale, left leg, reach out through your heel. Exhale, draw your left knee in towards your chest, lift from center, foot to thumb, right knee down to the mat. Climb aboard the left leg. We'll do those same options. So you can either interlace your hands or place one on top of the other. And you're actively pressing your hands towards your knee as your chin tucks. And it's that same movement, same cat-like movement with your hips. And then shoulders loop. Think cow now with hips and spine. Lift your heart. Inhale, draw in through center, hips move back. Exhale, move them down and forward. Reach your heart up. Couple more. Inhale. Shoulders loop. Release hips forward and soften. One more. And you want to move your hips back just a bit for the second option. You know the other modifications you might need to take on this. So I'm just going to go straight into the foot to glute version. So you'll grab a hold of your right foot with your right hand, square your shoulders, see how this feels with your body, and then maybe grab a hold of your other foot. And then you're pulling your right foot in towards your glute, lengthening the front of your right hip. So it's not as forward as you can go, but it sure is a lot of stretch on your right quad and right psoas. One more breath here. And then gently release your right foot to the mat, and I mean gently. Hands to the earth, left knee back to meet right. We won't be coming up to downward dog, but just take one quick exhale into child's pose. And then come back forward to hands and knees. And then you might have to slide your knees back a little bit as we lower all the way down to our stomachs. All right, final pose here will be taking your left forearm in front of you, just like we did before. And so your left elbow is right underneath your left shoulder. Now draw your right heel in towards your glute and reach for your foot just like we did before. This time, you're going to rotate fingers so your fingers will rotate outside and then come up over your toes as you rotate your elbow up. If that's not happening for you today, that's totally fine. You can do it without that grip. You can be just here. So if your fingers have gone out and forward, so they curl over your toes, elbow up, reposition your shoulders, square your hips, press your right knee back and down, and press your left elbow down and forward. This is Ardha Bhekasana. Top of back foot can either be down or toes can tuck, whatever feels best for you. I've got the top of my foot down, so my knee is up. All right, then we'll gently release left or right foot to the mat. Take just a moment between sides here. Forehead to your backs of your hands. Let your knees rock from side to side. And then we'll get started with our last side. Right forearm flat, parallel with the top of your mat. Palm down. And then reach back for your left leg. Watch out for your knee wanting to go out to the side. So keep it relatively in line with your hip. You start out here, shoulders square. This could be enough for you today, and that's fine. Or move on by fingers starting on the outside of your foot and then turning your elbow up so your fingers can go curl over the top of your foot. And then you square your shoulders, press your left knee down and back, reach your heart up. Bring your foot in towards your glute. Keep actively pressing your hips down. Gently release. Left leg to the mat. Lower your forehead down to the backs of your hands. Again, a little bit of rocking from side to side of your heels. And then we'll come up through all fours and make our way to our back for a quick outer hip stretch. And then we'll move into the completion, which will either have your legs on a chair, on a wall, or a couch, or something like that. Go ahead, lay all the way back. Cross your right foot over your left thigh. And then draw your left knee in towards your chest, clasping your hands behind your left hamstring or over your left shin. Begin to notice what's feeling tense, what you could soften. Start to let go. Really focus on the downward movement of energy. Change the cross of your legs. Find a grip of your hands that works best for you. Don't forget to soften through your shoulders, jaw, and forehead. Notice the body breathing. It does it without even having to be told to do so. And release your left foot to the mat. If you're using a chair, you can pull the to. I'm going to show because I think it's really accessible if your hamstrings are tight. So you'll use your chair or wall. If you're using a wall, then your legs are just like this, and they can be straight or not. They don't necessarily have to be. The idea here in this constructive rest pose is that we want our legs to be fully supported. You can kind of let them open up if they're on the chair. And I want you to think about your psoas muscles that we've been stretching today. I want you to think about them softening. And if you imagine them like a hammock, you want that hammock to have a lot of slack in it. And if you remember that they're connected to our abdomen muscles, and we need to soften through our abdomen as well as our hips to finally let our psoas take some relief, take a break. Your hands could be, maybe you have a left hand on your heart, right hand on your belly, or down to your sides, just somewhere where they're comfortable. Bring your awareness to your breath. Follow the gentle inhale and exhale. Let it be a calm wave going in from shore and out. And as you drift into Shavasana, keep your awareness on your breath. And let go. Begin to become aware of your surroundings. Move fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. With caution, take your feet either off the chair or down from the wall. Gently roll to one side and pause for a moment to observe how you're feeling. Simply observe, not to judge. And then use your strong arm to press yourself up to a seated position. Bring your palms together. Sit tall through the crown of your head. And extend a sense of gratitude to yourself for showing up. Gratitude to your fellow yogis. Gratitude to the yogis that came before us. May you and all living things be safe, be happy, be healthy, and live with strength and ease. Namaste.